A very good morning to Dr. Bahia. I'm Tehgeikai from 22PISMPSN2. Today I'm going to present about Mathematics in Science project, which is the model project. So in this presentation, I'm going to cover 4 subtopics, which is the first one, concept of linear equation, and then concept of quadratic equation, my model, and also the explanation of my model. The first one, concept of linear equation. A linear equation is a type of equation that can only be expressed as one of the form of fx equal to mx plus c and y equal to mx plus c, in which y and x are the variables of the equation. In this equation, m stands for the gradient of graph, while c stands for the y-intercept, which is also a constant. For each value of x, you can get one result of y by substituting the value of x into the equation. You can also obtain the value of x by substituting the value of y. The graph of this function will only form single straight line. This is the example of linear equation. The first one, A. We will notice that the value of m is greater than 1, which is 3. That means that the graph that is formed will be the positive linear graph. While in B, we'll notice that the value of x is negative, which means is smaller than 0. So the graph we will obtain will be a negative linear graph. So now we are going to move into the second part, which is the concept of quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is one of the form of y equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. For each output of y, there can be up to 2 associated input value of x. The reason we will obtain 2 value is because of the power of x is 2. So we will get 2 output value of x. The graph of this function is known as parabola, a smooth approximate U-shaped or N-shaped curve. The shape of the parabola curve is determined by the value of a. If, let's say, the value of a is greater than 0, that means the value is positive, we will obtain a U-shaped graph like a smile face. While if the value of a is less than 0, that means that the value of a is negative, we will obtain an N-shaped graph. It's like a sad face. And these are some examples of the quadratic equation. Now we are going to look at the first one. The first one, we will notice that the a value is 2. That means that it's larger than 0. So the graph we will obtain is a positive quadratic graph. While in second diagram, we can notice that the value of a is lower than 0, is in negative form. So the graph we obtain is like the N shape, which is the negative quadratic graph. So now I'm going to present my model. For this activity, I have planned out some experiments. So now I'm going to cover the procedure of my experiment. First, I start my running experiment at the starting point. At this time, the stopwatch is not yet start because t must be 0 because the experiment haven't started. Then my friend will start my running activity by giving me instruction like 3, 2, 1 goes. At the same time, she will start the stopwatch. This starting the stopwatch activity is simultaneous with my running activity. When the time shown on the stopwatch is exactly 2 seconds, she will give me instruction for me to stop running. I will immediately stop running, and the distance I have run in 2 seconds will be measured and recorded. Step 1 to 4 is repeated using the time 4 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, and also 10 seconds. these are the example of my experiment. This is the example of video of my experiment. You can see me running, and after I run, I stop. And you can see there's a friend helping me to measure the distance I have covered. And this is the experiment outcome of my activity. There are 3 data I can obtain from the activity, which is the time in second, distance in meter, and also velocity in meter per second. So I try 5 different time interval, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And for 2 seconds, the distance I am able to cover is 7.27 meter. Well, the time taken is 4 seconds. The distance I can cover is 15.74 meter. While the time is 6 seconds, the distance I'm able to cover is 25.6 meter. While the time taken is 8 seconds, the distance I'm able to cover is 35.48 meter. And finally, the last one, 10 seconds. I'm able to cover 44.81 meters in 10 seconds. So now I'm going to calculate the velocity. It's a really simple process. Just divide the distance by the time taken. So the result of velocity is shown above. After I obtain the result from the activity, I plot some graph to show that my running process is a linear equation. You can see that it is shown a straight graph and it is a positive linear graph. That means that the value of m will be larger than 0. So now I'm going to explain how the graph works and also the formation of the equation. This is how I form my equation. I'm using the substitution method, which is substitute the value into y equal to mx plus c. I'm picking up 2 points, which is the first point and the last point. This is to ensure the finding will be accurate. By substituting the value 2, 7.27 and also 10, 44.81, I will obtain that 2m equal to 7.27 minus c, that will be the first equation, and 10m equal to 44.81 c minus c, that will be the second equation. From the second equation, I can modify it a bit. I know that 10m is equal to 5 times 2m. So from the first equation, 2m equal to 7.27 minus c. So I can substitute the value of 2m into the second equation. And after that, I will expand it to simplify. I can obtain that 4c is actually equal to 8.46. By dividing 8.46 with 4, I have found that the c, which is the y-intercept, is 2.115. And now that I have found c, I'm going to find the m, which is the gradient. I can find the m by substituting the value of 1 point and also the value of y-intercept into the equation. So after substituting, the value I obtained for m is 2.57. And lastly, by substituting the value of m and also the value of c, the equation I obtained for my running process will be y equal to 2.57x plus 2.115. So based on the activity, I have obtained that the equation is y equal to 2.57x plus 2.115. So the application of this equation is by substituting one of x and y, I can find another value. So from the equation I have obtained from the activity, y equals to 2.57x plus 2.115. I can use this equation on some application. For example, I want to find the distance I can travel if I run for 45 seconds. As we know, 45 seconds is x value. So the coordinate should be 45 and y. And y is the distance I need to find. So by substituting, I can find that y equals to 2.57 times 45 plus 2.115. So I can understand that the distance I can travel if I run for 45 seconds will be 117.765 meter. So how about the time needed to complete 75 meter? 75 meter are actually a y value. So again, I can find the time needed x by substituting the value of y, which is 75 meter. So 75 will equal to 2.57x plus 2.115. By simplify the equation, finally I can obtain that x equal to 28.36 seconds. So this is the how I can form the equation and how I can apply the equation in daily life. And this is all for my activity. Thank you.